Hello my little buttons. This one is going to be making the Harry Potter style floating candles. Now I'm going to do it two different ways. One to show you how to make them float and the other to not float, because I just want to make some large candles that I can have standing around that my stupid dogs won't actually burn themselves on. So to start off with, get a couple of tubes. These were from the insides of cling film, but for like big kitchens, industrial kitchens. So as you can see, they're pretty huge. The one thing I have done is I have painted over, sure you can see it there, the print that was underneath so that it won't show through on the final product. I just used a poster paint for this. This one doesn't actually have any. So this is going to be slightly different from the other ones that are on YouTube at the moment, because it really bugs me. I can't help it. I get OCD. But this, okay, that right there, and no matter how many coats of paint you put on it, it still shows through, and it just bugs me. You look at it and you could go, oh look, that was a bog roll. It's just, no, I'm sorry, no. So this is going to be slightly different because I'm going to cover these to start off with, and then I'm going to treat the top coats different to what I've seen as well. I hope you like it. So to start off with, a small bowl of water, plain old regular PVA glue. Now I don't want to make it too thick, because otherwise that will make the exterior shiny, and I don't want to make it look too plasticky. So just a small amount of PVA into a small amount, well, I'll probably say 2/3 water, 1/3 PVA. And all you do is just turn your tube around, suck in more paper, and just paste on top of it. It helps the next layer stick to it as you turn it round, and it just gives it a much nicer effect on the cardboard itself. So I think that when you actually put the paint and the final finishes on, it really will look like a truly big wax candle. Takes a little time, but there's no Oak Island to watch tonight, so I may as well do it. Anyone else watching Oak Island? Part of me does wonder actually if there is any gold left there. Yeah, I'm just really, especially on that thing, they kind of brushed over it really the other day, or about 2 weeks ago on the series, where they had the guy who was looking at the maps, and they had a place on it called Kids Treasure. Did you see that? Well, the one thing I found from doing historical research for the ghost hunting is things get a name because of something that's happened there, or because of what it is. You know, like there's a road not far from here called the Straight Mile, and it's called the Straight Mile because it is, for a country road, a perfect straight mile. So to find somewhere on the island that's called Kids Treasure, well, it can only be known as that if that's where Kids Treasure was found, or, you know, Kids Treasure is supposed to be. But seeing as it's not been known as that for a good while, they found it on a historical map, seems to me that people have forgot about it. These have now dried, and as you can see, no irritating swirl going all the way up. Oh, let's just chuck things about. It looks really good. I'm happy with the finish. This is obviously unpainted. We're going to do that next, but before we do, there's a couple of other steps that you need to take. You have to create a seal for the bottom and the top. I'll show you why in a second. And if you are going to make this hanging candle, up the top you need to drill a hole in each side. because you'll need to thread through this stuff, which is fishing wire. I'm hoping you can see that. There we go. And then that will allow you to create a loop to invisibly hang your candle from the ceilings, which is why they look like they're floating. Now, I'm not doing the floating version. You can't get anything in my ceilings. They are rock solid, made of concrete. It's an apartment block. You just don't stand a chance. So these ones are being made to stand. Now I'm going to weight the bottom of them a little bit. This was some plain glass nuggets. They're really cheap. Not that pretty, so they're fine. They're a good solid chunk. Just so that, because they're quite heavy and I don't want it to keep tipping over. Now the way I'm going to do this is, for each candle I have made 3 little cardboard templates, 2 X's and an O. The smaller X will be glued directly onto the bottom and directly fits completely over the bottom. I hope you can see that. Now the bigger X is slightly bigger than the base. As you can see, it's bigger. Now the reason why I want that is so that when it's stood on there, I can dribble some hot glue down to make it look like the candle wax has run all the way down and pulled at the bottom. But if you don't give the hot glue a little bit of protection down here by having that little extra base, it will just keep chipping off and it will just make it look ugly in the end. Now the O goes on the inside. That will create a little platform for the fake tea light to stand on, because you know, I've seen a lot of people put them in there and then they've covered over the top and glued it down. Well, I hate to break it to you, but these things aren't Harry Potter. They actually run on batteries. So if you seal it in there, you're going to wreck this when you want to pull it out to change the batteries. So I'm creating a little platform to sit inside to put the light on so it will sit on nicely. Once you've put some once you've put some hot glue around here, no one will notice it anyway. It will just be flickering off the top really lovely. So if there is a small gap, don't worry about it. We can mask that with hot glue. So, do the prep before you do the painting, and then everything will look better. So I'm going to do the hot glue. I'm going to glue these on now. And then I'm going to do the first layer of decorative hot glue. Then I'm going to paint it. After then, I'm going to do another layer of hot glue on the top. And I'm not going to paint it. The reason being is, if you look at wax when it drips off a candle, as soon as you get quite a build up, it gets its colour back, but hot glue doesn't very well. So I'm going to do half and paint it, and then put the half more on top so it's translucent like a normal candle, and it will make it look much more realistic. So, oh yeah, another thing that I've done, and I'm hoping you can see this. If you look on the inside, you can see there's a blue line. Well, that's where I'm going to draw a ring of hot glue to stick that onto, so that, you know, it's at the right depth. It will just be, it's just in line with this, so it will sit right up the top, and the light will just flicker out nicely over the top, because obviously you don't want it just sinking back in there, because it will. I mean, this one will go straight through. Like, woo, hello, see? So, a little bit of forward planning. I think this is going to take a lot of hot gluing. So let's get on. More on the bottom. Now, I'm going to make sure to put quite a lot on the bottom. I want to make sure this bottom bit of cardboard does not come off. So lots and lots. Get it into place, press it down, stand it up. Then I'm hoping now you can see that I do have a rim around the base. Glue strings. While these are taking a moment to cool, other things for the project that I've got: some acrylic paint, just pure white, a little tray. These are condiment trays. for like cooking, but I find them really useful for small pots of paints or for putting beads and things like that. And then I have this. This is Glamour Dust, and this is just holographic embossing powder. They're like super fine glitters. Now the whole reason that I've got these is after I've done the first coat of paint and the first coat of hot glue, before it dries, and that's the important bit, before it dries, I'm going to sprinkle a little bit of both on. I do think that, you know, when the lights are low and, you know, candles are flickering, glitter just looks wonderful. Because the next stage is going to be putting in some glass beads. Because obviously you can't put the top on and glue it in place and then, you know, fill it out with beads. So just a few. See, literally just a few, that's all it's needed. Just to help give it some weight down the bottom. I suggest you let them slide in nicely, rather than just dump them in and take the end off. There we are. It just helps give it a little bit more weight, a lower centre of gravity. So it is less likely to get knocked over. Now it's going to be a question of putting the shelves in. There you go, maybe you can see that little shelf. And now I'm going to hot glue around the rim to keep this in place. Right, start where you want. I'm going to start a little bit at the top, and then while that's drying I'm going to do a little bit around the bottom. The idea is that you want to give the effect that the candle's been burning for a long time, and so, you know, it's burnt down over a period of time. And my fucking glue stick is playing up again. It's a very English curse, isn't it, that one? You really don't see it anywhere else. Now all I'm doing now is just literally dropping some over and dribbling it down. I'm trying to get it to naturally trail off as it goes down, so that it looks like it's run down. If you watch anything running down the outside of a pot, you'll see that where the top is, where it overflows and then runs down, it eventually runs out of steam. And that's the kind of look that you want to go for. So I'm squeezing here and getting a blob and then just trailing it down. It doesn't matter about doing it too uniform. Do some shorter, some longer, some bigger up top, some big bits down here where it's run down and then caught again. Your best bet is look on YouTube and have a look at, you know, like they do Christmas scenes with old burning candles and stuff, you know, so you can see how they burn. I'm really pleased with the texturizing of the tissue paper underneath. It's actually turned out really well. Oh look, that's like liquid hot lava. It's quite good though, it's giving it a good effect. You can see there's a little rim around the top now. I'm not going to overfill the rim on this layer, because obviously this is just the layer that is going to be colorized. So I don't want to take the rim up. Let me try it that way. I don't want to take the rim up too high at the moment, because otherwise once you put the candle in there, oh, don't stick, don't stick. Trying to get the candle in without it sticking. Right, I'm not going to manage that. So, ah, 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 ah. Ow, ow. Yeah. So, if you take it up too high now, so it's too high up above the rim, once you put the candle in there, you won't be able to see the flame because you would have taken the hot wax up too high. Hot wax. Hot glue. Fake wax. There we are. Piece of cardboard. And now I'm just going to dribble some down. Almost the opposite of what you're doing up the top. So you want to start it here and let it dribble down to the base. So like it's dripped off the top, run down and then hit the base. So it will pull at the bottom. So the last thing you want to do is put it at the bottom and drag it up because it will just pull back down. So you're better off to just start up and just let it run down and pull at the base. The next step, remove all your stringy bits. Okay. And now to paint. Paint the whole thing white, including the inside. So that nowhere does it break the illusion that it's not a solid candle. So, I've not painted this end yet, I'm just holding on to it. But before I do that end, I want to do a little bit of glittering. So, starting off with a little bit of glamour dust. Just tapping a little bit on while the paint is still wet. The glitter is totally optional. Don't get hung if you don't like glitter and don't put glitter on. I don't care. If you don't want to put glitter on, don't put glitter on. I like glitter. I will use glitter. And that is that. This is white. It's merely just highly reflective. So I'm looking at it to just reflect a bit of light for me and make it just look magnificent. As you can see, so there's not a lot of glitter on. I will put a little bit more on the next coat, but you could just see the difference in painting the wax. So there we have painted wax, and there we have unpainted wax. I'm now going to paint the other end and then put some more glitter on. So, now it's time to do the last coat of hot wax. I'm going to leave the candle in actually, so that I can see when it's enough around the side to like hide it properly and dribble down. See, the painting's turned out really well. This one's going to be slightly different because I'm going to have to do a little bit of it, and because I'm not going to paint this, I'm going to have to, once you've done a little bit, sprinkle some glitter onto it then, while it's still tacky, otherwise it won't have anything to stick to. It will dry too shiny. And here's the finished item. I've just had another coat of the hot glue wax and a little bit more glitter. This is what it looks like. I'm really very pleased. Like I said, it's not hard to make them floating if you need them to float, but I really, you know, just wanted something nice for my mantelpiece, and it really is effective. I'll show you in a second what it's like when all the lights are off. And that's it. Have a go. Show me your results. Bye bye buttons.